So, Stuart, we've been talking for Music Sunday. We're asking different people to offer hymn reflections, hymns that have been important to them throughout their lives or that have special memories of experiencing in worship. And I know you got one. So just tell us about it.
All right, thank you, Matt, and it's good to be with y'all this morning. And one hymn that is in particular connected to my life is "Have Thine Own Way, Lord, have Thine own way. Thou art the potter, I am the clay. Mold me and make me after Thy will, while I'm waiting and still." That particular hymn goes back, we had to turn the calendar way back to 1936. 1936, I was 9 years old, and I was walking to the junior department of the Sunday school, and Dr. Wade Bryant was my pastor, and he happened to be coming toward me. And when he got to me, he spoke to me and said, "Stuart, have you thought about accepting Jesus as your Savior and Lord?" And I said, "Well, yes, a little bit." My two sisters had accepted Christ a year before, and they were baptized and members of the church. And he said, "Why don't you come into my study and I'll talk to you about it?" And so I went into his study, and he began to explain to me how that Jesus knocks at the door of your heart, and it's a continuous knocking, and he wants to come into your heart. And he says, if you will open the door, having heard his voice, then he would come in and he would have fellowship with you and you with him. And I said, I want to do that. And so he said, "Well, let's have prayer." So he led in a brief prayer, and then he asked me to lead in prayer. Well, I'd never prayed in front of anybody else except the Lord. And so I prayed too, and I asked Jesus to come into my life. And he did. He came into my life. And so that was in 1936. Well, in 1947, I was in high school. I was senior, and we just finished football season, and I was captain of the football team. And so there's a lot of new things happening. I didn't know what I was going to do. I wanted to be a football coach, but college was out because our family was poor and didn't have money enough to send me to school. But I got scholarships, and so I followed those. But in 1947, we had a big rally of youth in Virginia, and we went to Massanutten Springs, Church Springs, and we had over 1,000 youth there from over Virginia. And we were, from our church, we had about 3 carloads, and we were seated in the auditorium, kind of spread out, and yet from our church, most of us were together. And I don't know what the preacher preached about, and I really don't know who he was. I think I can't call his name. I can see him in my mind's eye. But anyway, when the invitation was extended, I knew that God had spoken to me, and God had said very plainly to me that he wanted me to prepare for the ministry. And that was the farthest thing from my mind. I had not really thought of that. My aunt was a missionary in Beaumont, Nigeria for 38 years. My uncle was a Baptist minister. And so it wasn't out of the ordinary. But anyway, I got up immediately when they sang the hymn, "Have Thine Own Way, Lord," just as they had sung when I was baptized. And I knew that it was me, God speaking to me. So I got up and I turned to my right. And when I did, 2 seats down, my best buddy, John Smith, John got up. And well, I had not talked to him about it at all, and he had not talked to me, but he got up. And then on the other side of him was Lloyd Smith. They were no kin, but Lloyd later became my brother-in-law. He married my younger sister, Jackie. And so he got up, And so the three of us went down, and we were among a little over 300 who responded to that invitation to full-time Christian service. And so anyway, John became a minister in Virginia. He preached. He's now deceased, but he preached for a long time. And my brother-in-law was a minister of music. He was in Yardville, New Jersey, and later came to Richmond and was a minister of music at Chamberlain Baptist Church. And so the hymn always played a very important part of my life, and it always comes to mind most any time. Have thine own way, Lord, have thine own way. Thou art the potter, I am the clay. Mold me, make me as your will. And so that's been my prayer and what I've wanted to do, tried to do through the years.